Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Karmic Gacha system in Modern Family World. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 41, Party, Part 2. Edward POV. Loud repetitive music with strong bass that made your heart thump together with the beat, kids jumping in the pool, boys begging girls to kiss each other, girls just doing it for fun, and the spiked punch that made people lose their inhibitions. This is definitely not a party for middle schoolers, I said as I drank my third glass of Cosmopolitan today. Jenna ran toward me and hugged my arm suddenly the minute I turned my back. Oh damn it, I muttered as I almost spilled my drink from her sudden approach. Where did you go? I almost couldn't find you. Jenna acted coquettishly while pretending she didn't know what she was doing. She kept moving her body, rubbing her skin against my arm as she hugged me. When I ditched you for the third time tonight, I expected you to take the hint already. It's either you're a special kind of dense, or you ignored it all just to get your target, I thought as I took a sip of the drink using a thin red straw. Jacob was talking with some boys he knew, and he kept his words with me to not acknowledge Elsa in this party, causing the birthday girl to go crazy for him. Hey Newgate. Suddenly, a hormonal teenager called out to me as Jenna was only paying attention toward me in the entire party. Jenna and I both turned to the source of the voice and saw a group of teenagers, all boys with only their swim pants on and bare body, were walking toward me. Jenna's face contorted in anger as her scheme was cut short, but the boys didn't seem to notice that. Sup? I replied casually while still sipping my drink and no notable change in my facial expression. The boys were confused as it wasn't the reaction they expected me to have. They imagined I would be shaking in my boots and get away from Jenna immediately, but it seemed that they needed to do something more. I heard you are dating a goth girl? Boy #1 in 8, a skinny, African-American boy with dreadlocks said instigatively. Good for you. Weird kids should stay together. Oh. I agree with that. It's good that you have found your group now, I retorted casually. Boy number 1 became angry and tried to lunge at me, but he was stopped by boy #2 Ali, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed football player with the same height as me and some muscles on his body. She got big boobs, right? I guess you're enjoying yourself every night sucking on that. Boy number 2 said as he laughed and high-fived his friend like he did something great. To be honest, I didn't really care about them and never even bothered to learn their names. Don't feel bad. At least you can suck on your dad's dick every night. I sniped back as no one could insult my girl and still got away with it. Jenna giggled at my remarks and hugged my arm again. What the fuck did you just say? Boy number 2 stampeded toward me, feeling both jealous of me because of Jenna, and also wanting to pay me back for my accusations. But Jacob walked beside me and Jenna at this moment. His towering stature and unkind face caused the boys to stop in their tracks before they managed to get to me. What? Jacob stared at them. With a whimper, boy number 2 fell into a stutter. I'm going. The group of boys retreated quickly after Jacob decided to interfere. If only they knew that the kind giant didn't even have the heart to step on an ant, lest punching other people, they wouldn't be so scared of Jacob. Teenagers are weird, I muttered, causing both Jenna and Jacob to look at me in confusion. You're a teenager too? Jenna asked. Am I? Or am I really a CIA agent who'd been tasked to infiltrate a school to find the enemy of James Bond? I said seriously. Bro. You're drunk. Jacob snarked in derision. Yeah. A little bit, I confessed. Then, his eyes shook and his face flushed. I narrowed my eyes at him because of his weird reaction. He explained himself quickly while freaking out. I didn't mean bro as in why you're my bro, but a bro in general. Yes. That's it. But, aren't you my bro? Why are you embarrassed to say it? I asked in confusion. Jacob widened his eyes and asked in hesitation, I'm your bro? You're not? No. I am. Okay, bro. I said with a sly smirk that made Jacob blush. He hesitated and said, bro? I nodded and said, bro. 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 Brew. Jenna narrowed her eyes at us and said, are you guys becoming bros? Or becoming a couple? I turned toward her, and inches my face closer to her face. I stopped with only a 2-inch distance between our faces, gazed into her eyes and said, why? Jealous? I teased her for the first time ever while I was excited. Jenna's face blushed and she avoided my eyes by lowering hers. Ah shit. I really need to stop drinking. I thought as I realized what I had done. I moved my face away from her as she fidgeted her body. Ed. Do you want to see my room? Jenna asked while biting her lower lip. No need. By the way, when will the cake come out? I asked. Cake? Jenna asked in confusion as I changed the subject. This is a birthday party, right? I asked. A birthday party has to have cake. Jacob nodded in agreement at my words, but Jenna was extremely baffled by the situation. You did get her a cake, didn't you? I asked after Jenna was still not answering my question. I forgot, Jenna said and defended herself quickly. I want this to be more of an adult's party. In my mom's party, the birthday girl will come out with some frosting, and all the people will eat it off her. I already prepared that stuff for Elsa. Sighing at the same time I dropped my head, I said, Jenna. She will beat you up. Where did you learn all of this stuff anyway? No, she wouldn't. Jenna said anxiously. Ugh. Where can I find a cake at this hour? She looked at the sky in contemplation before she turned to me and said angrily, and also, I learned it from my mom. You say you like mature women. Yes, I did say that. But even a mature woman eats cake on her birthday. You know, a normal mature woman. Jenna was flabbergasted by my words, and she huffed away from me for the first time tonight. Brew. Jacob called me in a low tone, his eyes begging me to do something as he pointed to Elsa who was talking with a group of girls at the side with his eyes. I know Brew. I replied and walked to the staff area before I talked to the cute waitress who's serving the drinks. Hey, has the cake arrived yet? What? There isn't any cake delivery in the schedule? The red-haired waitress started to freak out as it was her first day on the job. Not only did she have to wear an itty-bitty bikini, she had to suffer some harassment from the young, entitled little brats there that couldn't keep their hands to themselves. Her stature was a bit beefy from the other girls working there, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of familiarity when I looked at her. Hey. No need to freak out. There is still an hour left before we're going to cut the cake. Why don't you talk to the party planner and get a birthday cake for the birthday girl? I said while flashing a charming smile that made the waitress's head go blank for a bit. Oh, but I dash. Or you can go pick up the cake yourself. Just take one of the cars in the garage and go. It's better than serving some horny boys, right? Not only that, the client will be very grateful to you that she might recommend you to another job that's infinitely better than this one. Finally, the waitress succumbed to my words of temptation. Okay. I'll go pick up the cake. Great. Give me your number, I'll text you the store location. I'll contact the store for you and make the payment by myself, so you just need to give my name to pick it up. My impression inside of the young girl's mind rose up quickly, and she said with a blush, okay. I gave her the key to one of Jenna's mom Mercedes, and a jacket for her to cover up her swimsuit. Hey, your wig is falling off. I said as I leaned through the car door to fix the waitress's wig. What's your name, cutie? I asked flirtatiously. I'm not supposed to tell you. She was hesitant for a while, but then she replied, but my name is Penny. She replied. You're from Nebraska? I asked after seeing the similarities on her face when I compared it to another actress from a sitcom I know before. Shocked, Penny replied, how did you know? Finally confirming it, I said, just a hunch. Oh my god. Do I look like a country hick out here? Penny asked anxiously. No. You're very beautiful. I replied. She brightened up and said, thanks. Godspeed. I said and knocked on the car door twice. Remember, my name is Edward Newgate. The cake is for Elsa. I said and winked at the waitress before waving her off. She drove away with a face full of smiles as it was the first time she had ever driven a luxury sports car. Edward, huh? How nice. She muttered as she get past the main gate. With a drink on her hand, Jenna quickly approached me in horror after seeing someone driving off in her mom's car. What did she do? She asked quickly. Did that skank just steal my mom's car? I turned to Jenna and said, nah. She is picking up the birthday cake. My dad's business has a connection to a bakery near the marina. You won't believe how many people would forget to get the cake until at the last minute. Oh! Jenna exclaimed in realization. Then, she smiled widely and put her hands on her back before she inches closer to me. Are you helping me? She did try to tell the planner about it, but they would only listen to her mom. Nope. I'm giving my birthday present to Elsa. That's all. I replied and walked away from a giggling Jenna. Suddenly, Claire called me directly after I had sent the waitress away. I picked up the phone and asked, Hey Claire, is there a problem? I saw a receipt for a cake being bought just now. Should I arrange for the crew to pick it up? Claire asked hurriedly. Ah, no need. The cake is for another event. I had already arranged for someone to pick it up. Also, stop snooping around the business when it's outside your working hour. Flabbergasted, Claire said, I didn't do that. Claire. I can see the frequency of every time you open up the company's account. Do you want me to graph it out and send it to you? Shouldn't work at this hour. I interjected before she could make excuses for herself. Log off the company account before I'll set up a limited time access for you. Once you open it for 4 hours next time, it will be shut off. Do you want me to give you a bedtime curfew like that? No, don't. Claire shouted immediately. Okay. So will you manage your time better? I asked in a parenting tone. Fine. Claire replied like a rebellious teenager. I smiled before I ended the call with her and rejoined the party while Jenna followed me around like a baby duck following its mother. Everyone, we will move the party inside for now. Jenna suddenly said. She smirked and then continued while eyeing me hungrily, We're going to play, spin the bottle. The boys cheered at her announcement while the girls were pretending to be embarrassed by it. I turned to Jacob and said, Told ya. The kids were sitting around in a circle, waiting for Jenna to start spinning the bottle. Jenna explained, Here are the rules. When the bottle lands on you, you can choose to enter the closet, to kiss, or just to talk, whatever you want to do. You will have 7 minutes alone together in the closet. Or you can ignore it when the bottle lands on you. However, if you ignore it, you cannot participate in any of the games later. The birthday girl can do whatever she wants, and the rules won't restrict her. Jenna added. Elsa nodded in embarrassment and shot a glance at Jacob, who was still ignoring her. That action, however, made Jacob extremely irresistible to Elsa. The group nodded and the game began. There were 20 people there. 8 girls and 12 boys. So there will be 4 boys who wouldn't be able to do it. Almost all the boys had fiery eyes right now as they wanted to be the one picked to enjoy their own personal moments of heaven inside the closet. I'll begin. Jenna said, closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Then she opened it back up, revealing her fiery glint as she gazed directly at me. First couple. Jenna twisted the bottle forcefully, making it spin in high speed at the middle of the group's circle. Finally, the bottle slowed down, and it would land on the boys' side. As it slowly passed through a boy's position, grunts and moans could be heard from their disappointment. Wait, it can't be, I muttered as I saw the bottle tip moving slowly towards me. Then, it pointed straight at me, before it landed on Jacob, who was on my right side. Me? Jacob muttered anxiously while pointing at himself. TCH, Jenna clicked her tongue as she missed her target. Yup. You. Now, to pick the girl. She lost interest and spinned the bottle without thinking much. Elsa's heart beat quickly as the bottle spinned. Then, it finally slowed down and it landed on a random girl at the party. With polka dot bikinis and tied up hair, the short and stacked cheerleader girl looked at Jacob up and down before biting her lips and said, "Okay. I'll do it." Suddenly, Elsa crawled to the bottle and turned the bottle head to her seat before moving back to her seat. Everyone opened their mouths in disbelief, and even Jenna was a bit disappointed with her friend's desperation. Ironic, isn't it? What? The birthday girl can do whatever she wants, right? Elsa said in embarrassment. Jenna nodded in agreement and said, "True. Okay. Jacob and Elsa, your 7 minutes start right now." She led them to a dark closet and pushed both people in before she returned to the circle. "We will wait until they are done before picking the next couple," Jenna said. I turned to the closet's direction and whispered, "Good luck, Jacob." Then, I stood up from the circle. Where are you going?" Jenna's eyes shook as she watched me getting up. "Oh. I'm just staying here to support Jacob. I'm not interested in the game," I said dismissively, and I walked out of the living room where the game was played. Wait. Wait. Jenna called out to me hurriedly. "What?" I asked while turning back to her. "Are you really not going to play?" she asked again. "Yup." I replied simply and went back to the pool where I would just lay down on one of the chairs while waiting for the cake to arrive. Wait! Jenna stood up hurriedly to chase me. "Hey, what about the game?" Boy number 2 asked. "Do it yourself." "I'm out too," Jenna replied and ran away. Well, if she's out, then a few more boys that came here especially for Jenna stood up and abandoned the game, leaving only an equal number of girls and boys there. But no one wanted to continue the game now, as the girls felt like leftovers in the party, as almost all boys wanted Jenna, and the boys couldn't proceed if no girls wanted to play. He fucking ruined the game. Boy number 2 gritted his teeth in anger as he thought about someone particular who was sipping on some drinks right now. A brown, short-haired girl in a rainbow-colored shirt and denim overall looked around in excitement and continuously texted her sister about the affairs currently going on in the party. "Oh. This party is so much fun," Enid muttered as she kept reporting everything she's seen and heard at this party. Third-person POV. Inside the closet. "So," Jacob muttered, avoiding Elsa's eyes while she gazed intently at his face. "So what? Why are you avoiding me today?" Elsa asked in confrontation while continuing to stick her face close to Jacob, although she needed to stand on her toes to do it. Then, she slipped and fell right into his embrace. "Be careful," Jacob said as he wrapped his arms around her to prevent her from falling. Her hand fell into his chest, and she could hear his heartbeat beating quickly as he hugged her. Ba-dump asterisk ba-dump ba-dump. "Wait. Do you still like me?" Elsa asked while raising her head to meet his eyes. "When did I ever stop liking you?" Jacob replied innocently. Then, Elsa pushed him away, causing him to fall flat on his back. "Ouch!" Jacob exclaimed as his head was knocked onto the floor. "Shut up," Elsa said as she straddled him and started to kiss him passionately while they were on the closet's floor. She was following Jenna's advice to literally push the one she likes and take the lead in this matter. Their first kiss in their entire life started out awkwardly, with just a peck on each other's lips. Then, they become comfortable with the pace, and Jacob decided to take a step further by moving his tongue toward Elsa's mouth. Elsa moaned as she didn't expect Jacob to do it like that. Then, Elsa ran her hand all over Jacob's body before he did the same thing on hers. They lost track of time, and they made out for over 20 minutes before realizing that no one was calling out for them. Finally separating from each other, they walked out as they were hearing some commotions from the pool area. Chapter 42, Party, Part Last. Third-person POV. In Abby's Gothic-style room, laying on the bed was a blonde-haired teenager with a denim skirt and a long-sleeved unicorn shirt. By her side, sitting on the bed while doodling on a piece of paper, was a pretty brown-haired girl. Meanwhile, the goth girl was crouching on the chair near the desk while hugging her knees and having a worried expression on her face. "So, what is he doing now?" Haley asked as she took a breather from doodling. "He's dancing to the music and is still ignoring the slutty bitch." Tara replied casually as she read the text from her sister Enid while still lying down on Abby's bed. Enid is her sister whom she planted at the party to act as a spy for her friends. "Good," Abby muttered, still feeling anxious that her boyfriend had gone to a party without her. Haley turned to Abby and said, "You didn't have to let him go to the party if it'll bother you this much." Tara finally raised her head and turned to Abby. "Yeah. If it was me, I would never let my boyfriend go to a party alone. Boys are pretty stupid. They won't think much about something before they do it." "No. Edward isn't like that," Abby said with a low-spirited voice. Tara rolled her eyes and said in exasperation, "We all thought like that on our first relationship. But the truth is, if you don't control your man, he will be snatched away by someone else." Abby then confessed, "Don't want to be that kind of girl that would control all of her boyfriend's actions. Besides, Ed is pretty mature. I don't think that he'll be swept away by the party." "Oh." Tara read another text from her sister when Abby finished talking. "What?" Haley turned to Tara and asked with a serious face. Abby turned to Tara too, and her eyes turned glassy. "He's joining the game," Tara said with some difficulty as if trying to let Abby down easy. Haley was confused and asked, "What game?" The one where you enter a closet with a girl, and have your first kiss, or just make out," Tara replied in a hushed tone, but all of her words became thunderous when they entered Abby's mind. "Wait. Is he just sitting there because he didn't know about it?" Haley asked again after glancing at Abby in anxiety. "No. They had explained the rules pretty clearly. They are spinning the bottle now." Abby lowered her head and buried her face behind her knees. Haley slipped from the bed and walked to Abby hurriedly. "Do you want to go there and beat up that bitch who plans all of this?" "No need, he's just like the other men. I thought he would be different," Abby said with a shaky voice and a lump on her throat. "Wait. Don't cry yet," Tara suddenly shouted, causing Abby to raise her head and Haley to turn toward her at the same time. "He's not joining them. He said he was only there to provide his friend some moral support. He's getting out of the game now." Tara reported all of Enid's text clearly as if she was some reporter reading the news. Abby brightened up and exclaimed, "Oh," before she smiled in embarrassment. Haley and Tara had a teasing smile afterward and Tara mimicked Abby, "I thought he would be different. My Romeo dash." "Shut up," Abby yelled while being embarrassed and threw a pillow at Tara's face. "Hey! My makeup!" Tara shouted in anger as she saw a clear lipstick mark and her eyeshadows on the white pillowcase. "Shut up and read." "What are they doing now?" Haley ordered. "So that's it? That's my only purpose here? I feel used. Is this how all of your ex-boyfriends felt?" Tara teased Haley. Haley smirked and retorted, "I never used anyone, and yeah, that's your only purpose." "You bitch," Tara cursed. Haley sat back on the bed, picked up her doodling that looked like a 10-year-old's drawing and showed it to her friend. "Abby, how does this look?" "Oh, that's nice. Did Luke teach you how to draw?" Abby teased. "Zip it." Haley gazed menacingly at Abby as she put her drawing down. "I think it looks nice. But I need some more details. Why don't you use some of the magazine cutouts like we see in the movies to show it?" Abby advised. "That's a great idea." Haley smiled brightly as she heard the idea. "Oh." Suddenly, Tara exclaimed again. "What now?" Abby asked in concern. "It seems that your boyfriend is going to fight someone," Tara replied. Edward POV. At the party. I returned back outside and lay down on one of the pool chairs before Jenna suddenly came out and sat beside me on another chair. She sat on the edge of the chair and leaned forward before she tapped on my arm with one finger. "Hey! Why did you not want to play the game?" Jenna asked anxiously. "Are the girls here not pretty enough for you? Do you want me to change the girls for better-looking ones?" With a scrunched eyebrows, I turned my body sideways toward Jenna in confusion. "What the hell are you talking about? Why don't you want to play?" she asked again, determined to get the answer today. Propping my head with my left hand as I laid down sideways, I replied lazily, "You know I got a girlfriend, right?" She scoffed immediately and said in a condescending tone, as if people will care about their girlfriends or wives at a party, "Do you know how many people who came to my mom's party are someone's husbands? They didn't care about it, why should you?" Pausing my thoughts for a moment, I studied Jenna's face and found out that she was being honest in her words. "Do you really think all men are like that?" I asked in a calm tone. Avoiding my gaze by lowering her eyes, Jenna fixed one of her stray hair behind her ears as she answered, "That's true, isn't it? My mom told me that." "Then, your mom had given you a fucked up view on what men and women's relationship should be like." She raised one of her eyebrows in irritation before looking back into my eyes and asked, "Be honest with me. If you could do anyone you want at this party, with no repercussions afterward, no girlfriend to be mad at you, wouldn't you do it?" "Still no," I replied almost instantaneously before I turned to lay on my back once more. "Now why the hell not?" Jenna stood up and shouted in anger from my response. "Hey you bitch." Suddenly, boy number 2 Ollie and boy number 1 Nate came out with a group of boys and shouted at Jenna's and mine's direction from afar. Jenna turned angrily toward the boys and no longer hid who she truly was. With venom in her voice and a murderous gaze, she asked, "What? What do you mean what? You owe all of us a game," Ollie said while the boys were walking briskly toward Jenna. "Go play with the other girls, I don't have time for you," Jenna said and turned her attention back towards me while I was trying to get some grapes in my mouth. Suddenly, Nate grabbed Jenna's arm forcefully from behind and pulled her backward. "Ouch!" she exclaimed in pain. "You're going to play a game with all of us, whether you like it or not," Nate said with a hint of threat. "Who knows, when you finish sucking all of us off, we will let you go. Don't want you to cry like the first time you lost your virginity, right? Get your fucking hand off me." Jenna slapped Nate's grip with her free hand, but he wasn't letting her go. "Be obedient, bitch," Nate said and raised his hand up to slap Jenna's face. The other girls were giggling at Jenna's misery, not caring what the boys were doing at all. Right now, all of them wanted to see Jenna get ruined, and maybe after this, they will be the one who will get the most popular girl in school reputation instead of a whore like Jenna. As Nate cocked his hand, I had already stood up from my seat to intervene. I wanted to intervene sooner, but I was busy with the grapes. "Okay. You're done," I said and grabbed Nate's hand before he could slap Jenna. As he turned towards me, I raised my right leg and kicked him in the balls. "Oof!" Nate yelped in pain and fell knee first to the floor, finally releasing his grip on Jenna's arm. A bright red mark could be seen on her wrist, which pissed me off a little bit. "Oh, I'm sorry. It seems that you've been thinking with your dick, so I decided to give it a rest," I said and stood in front of the shivering Jenna. "You little Ollie almost punched me, but he stopped as I spoke calmly. Did all of you have a talk together and decide to commit a crime while sharing collective responsibility for it? You know, things that would ruin your future if any of them got out?" Their eyes shook as they realized that they had gotten carried away and almost committed a major crime. As the teenage boys were drunk, I decided to give them one last chance. "Apologize to Jenna right now," I demanded. "You don't have any say in this matter. In fact, all of this is your fault," Ollie said and took a step forward before he tried to punch me with a sloppy right hook. Sighing inwardly, I grabbed his wrist and tightened the lock further upwards. "Arghh. My arm. My arm." Ollie screamed in pain as I twisted his hands further upward. "Arg!" He let out an almost inhuman yell before I whispered to his ear, shut up if you don't want to lose your hand. He quickly shut his mouth and whimpered in pain while tearing up in front of his friends. Apologize to Jenna right now. I demanded once more as I made him suffer once more, not knowing that my action had caused the girl behind me to look at me with heart-shaped eyes. Jacob and Elsa came out of the making-out closet at this moment while holding hands and saw the scene from afar. I need to go, Jacob said to Elsa and released her palm. Wait, you don't know how to fight, Elsa said from afar as Jacob had already run away toward my position. As Nate finally collected himself, he shouted in a high-pitched voice as his nuts were still in pain, "Get him! Why are you guys just waiting around? Don't do it, guys. You didn't do anything wrong just yet. But if you continue, I will make sure you regret it." I warned them as they hesitated. Do it! Nate shouted once more. The boys decided to follow Nate's order as he was the captain of the football team and they were his teammates. One of the boys lunged at me, so I released Ollie and kicked his butt, making him stumble forward and crash into the other boy before they both fell into the pool together. I considered breaking his wrist entirely, but I had too much drink in me to do it cleanly. Fight! 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 The bystanders chanted in excitement as the rumble started. 3 boys decided to punch me at the same time, but I only focused on one of them as I saw a big giant joining in the fun. Ugh! Jacob arrived and tackled 2 boys, the ones that I ignored, causing them to fall into the pool. Jacob stopped at the edge of the pool and stumbled there for a second. Oh shit! He cursed as he couldn't stop himself from falling. With flailing hands, Jacob almost fell into the water, but I grabbed the waist of his short and pulled him back after throwing the other boy into the pool. You okay there? I asked him with a smirk. Other than you basically giving me a wedgie, I'm fine, Jacob replied with an ashen face. Don't worry. I got your back, like you got mine, I said casually. Finally standing up despite his hurting nuts, Nate turned toward me and Jacob and said, "Fight me one-on-one if you dare, bitch," while staring directly at me. Jacob gave me his serious looks but I responded to Nate. Okay, sure. Walking forward, I stood face to face with Nate. Come on. Punch me or apologize to Jenna. If you chose the first one, don't blame me for what I'm about to do. Fuck you, he said and he cocked his punch. The minute he released his hand, I slapped his left cheek with my right hand. The sound of the slap reverberated around the pool area, and Nate was stunned by my wake-up call. Choose again, I said casually with an innocent smile on my face. He paused to think before he punched at me again, so I slapped his right cheek with my left hand. Again, I said, still with an innocent smile. Elsa walked toward Jenna and checked her wrist. Elsa, did you see what he did? He stood up for me, Jenna said with obsessive eyes that kept following my figure as I continued to bitch slap Nate. The bitcha girls were leaving the party after their fun was ruined. They walked toward Elsa together to wish her before leaving. Some of them watched me toying with Nate and couldn't help but bite their lower lips as they were turned on, but their hate toward Jenna trumps their horniness at this moment. Elsa, happy birthday day. Don't hang out with that slut anymore. It'll ruin you. If you're looking for handouts, I can give you an allowance if you follow my back obediently like a dog every day. Ha 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 ha. Jenna's eyes turned murderous as she heard that. She turned toward the girls and bitch-slapped the skank who was bad-mouthing her best friend. The blonde cheerleader held her red cheek in disbelief after she got the wits slapped out of her while her eyes shook, and her mouth hung half open. Get the fuck out of my house, bitch, before I call security, Jenna ordered coldly. You whore! The cheerleader girl wanted to fight Jenna, but another girl held her back and said, she's not worth it. Let's go. Yeah. Run away, bitch, Jenna said in anger from afar toward the running girls before she turned toward me with eyes full of hearts once more. With a swollen face, Nate said while involuntarily kneeling, he finally gave up after being slapped for the 10th time. The other boys had already come out of the pool, but decided not to do anything after they saw their captain's fate. Not to me. I said and nudged my chin toward Jenna. To her. I'm sorry, Jenna. Nate said with teary eyes. Get the fuck out of my house before I call the cops on you. Jenna yelled at him and chased him away from her house. The crowd dispersed quickly, leaving only me, Jacob, Elsa, Jenna, and a random girl with denim overall and rainbow shirt staying there. Enid suddenly asked innocently as if she hadn't seen the conflict before, so. When will the cake arrive? So, happy birthday, Elsa. Congrats on your new boyfriend. I said as I toasted to Elsa after the cake arrived. Only 5 people left after the whole fiasco over there. Well, 6 if I included the lone waitress. After Penny arrived with the cake, she was flabbergasted to see the empty party. She gave me the cake and went to get yelled at by the party planner, only to see that all of the staff there had left. So I invited her to eat the cake together. So far, 14 is my favorite age. Elsa said as she looked at Jacob while smiling softly. They continued holding hands after everything had calmed down. Enid ate some cakes without any concern for others as it was too big a cake for only 6 people. Jenna wanted to resume pestering me, but Elsa dragged her somewhere to bandage her arm, leaving only 4 people in the living room. Oh. I need to go to the toilet. Enid said. Where is it? She asked me and Jacob. Turn left over there. It's at the end of the corridor. Jacob answered unexpectedly. I turned toward him and asked, You still drunk? No. Why would I still be scared of girls now that I'm in a relationship with the best one? Jacob replied with a sly smirk. I punched his bicep and he turned into the wimpy Jacob once more. What's that for? Jacob asked while rubbing his sore bicep. For being annoying. I said and walked to the lonesome waitress. Don't worry, Penny, I will talk to your boss after this. I said to Penny. From staring at her plate, she turned toward me with puffed out cheeks that was full of cake and tried to speak with her mouth full. It's okays. What? She swallowed the cake and said clearly this time. It's okay. I think I'm going to quit this job and accept my friend's offer to work at the Cheesecake Factory. Ah, I see. I think that's better anyway than having to continue to devalue yourself by working here. You think so too, right? Penny agreed with me. I don't know how Hollywood people do it. I can't debase myself like this even if I think that it'll help me to land a role in a movie or a commercial. Nodding at her words, I said, I am an artist myself, and I'm going to be making a few music videos soon, so I'm probably going to need some actress. Wait. You're an artist? Penny asked in disbelief and looked at me up and down. Are you just saying that to pick me up? Nope. I am actually signed under a new, big entertainment agency and we're in the middle of recording an album. Also, you have some cake on your cheek. I said and I grabbed a napkin from a table nearby before helping her wipe the cake away. I am not promising you to get the part. I'm only saying that you can have a place to audition if you're looking for a part in the future. If I do need you as an actress, could I call you? Yes, of course. Penny said in excitement and hugged me closely. Then, she suddenly gave me a peck on the right cheek before going to the left, but I stumbled at just the wrong E/N, or right, moment, causing her to give me a peck on the lips. At this moment, Jenna, Elsa, and Enid returned to the living room at the same time and saw the dreaded sight. Jenna's smiling face turned frozen in a second, while Enid was excitedly texting someone. Oh shit. Penny muttered as she slowly backed her face away from mine. That's okay. It was an accident. Do you have any way to get home, or should I give you a ride? I asked Penny calmly after the incident despite the hostile looks she was getting from Jenna. No. Jenna shouted in objection. Chapter 43, Argument. Edward POV. Mr. Green came to pick us up after the party was over. Although he saw we were a bit drunk, he didn't scold us and even teased Jacob when he saw the lipstick mark on his neck. The Viking dad widened his eyes in surprise after he heard the tale of the fight from Jacob as we were riding in his car. Jacob was sitting next to the driver while I sat in the back seat. He looked sideways from his position with his eyes on the road to scan Jacob up and down with skepticism. You tackled someone? Yeah, Mr. Green. He tackled two boys at the same time. I vouched for the shy Jacob. Mr. Green turned to look at me and said, "Do you know why Jacob didn't join the football team even after all the training he has done? It's because he's afraid of anything physical. More likely he was too soft to inflict pain on someone else." I thought. Finally, I realized why Mr. Green was so doubtful about the fact that his son fought someone. He placed his palm on Jacob's shoulder and said with a soft, yet proud smile, "My son is all grown up. Yeah, like a mini giant." I muttered underneath my breath at the side without Mr. Green being able to listen to it. "Finally, this means you can try out for the football team. We'll start your training again before you're going to high school next year," Mr. Green declared. Jacob tried to object and turned to me for help, but I ignored his desperate plea because I was too tired. I recalled the events before we rode home as I closed my eyes. Jenna called a limousine for Penny to drive her home after I objected to her suggestion of calling a cab for Penny. "Why? Do you want to go home with her?" "Huh?" Jenna got up close to my face and was being stubborn. "If you want to get some tonight, just stay at the house dash." "Jenna, you're pretty, so people won't tell you this straight to your face. Shut your pie hole if you have nothing good to say." Seeing my menacing gaze, Jenna took a step back, fearing I would hate her if she continued talking about it. Suddenly, her fear turned into excitement. She broke into the brightest smile I had ever seen her wear and said coquettishly, "So? You think I'm pretty? Shut your pie hole, Jenna," I said sternly once more before I gave up on trying to have any rational conversation with the girl. Penny the waitress didn't have her ID or wallet on her, as everything was kept by the agency to prevent a possible identity leak. She also didn't have any clothes with her, and was only wearing a teeny tiny bikini. As the night deepened, the cold wind was severe. Therefore I could see her, something protruding from her bikini. I advised her to quit the job immediately that night in case they sent her off to another mansion where she could become a plaything for the high society, not that she couldn't take care of herself on her own. After I investigated the company that she registered with in the future, I would find out that they did a lot of shady stuff. Luckily, Penny was still a newcomer and she was still just a simple waitress for now. She could quit the job quite easily and without any hassle. A simple dreamer, huh? As I took one last look at Penny's anxious face, I couldn't help but wonder. When reality hits her, she will stop pursuing her dreams, which is kinda sad. Holding the phone with her contact number inside of it, I couldn't help but want to at least help her get started. She really is just a mediocre actress. All she ever did was that stupid serial-appeased movie, and its sequel. The opportunities for her wouldn't be abundant, but at the very least she could add something else that was good to her resume if I interfered. When I arrived home, my mind was already tired from the fight, the alcohol, and the persistent 14-year-old who threw herself at me all day. Now, I only wanted to sleep and do nothing else. But the moment I opened the door, I knew that I wouldn't be able to get what I wanted. "Hey, hot stuff," Abby said while waiting for me in the living room. Wearing a crop tank top and a red plaid miniskirt, she walked to me as I closed the door and wrapped her hand gently on my waist while maintaining eye contact. "You had some fun tonight." Abby still maintained a smile, but for some reason I felt ominous inside. "What did you do over there?" she asked. "Well, my palm is still sore from continuously slapping some ruffians who want to make some trouble," I said as I fixed a stray hair on Abby's face back and slid the stray hair behind her ear. She saw that my palm was still red and bit her lips in anger at the brats. "Anyway, I'm pretty tired now. Do you want to sleep together with me? We can cuddle," I teased Abby as she continued staring at me. "That can wait. Do you want to tell me about anything else that happened tonight?" Abby asked again with gritted teeth, but still maintaining her smile. "What's going on?" I asked. "Nothing," Abby replied curtly and released her hand from my body before she went to sit at the sofa again. I walked to the sofa and placed my phone at the coffee table as I stared at her face. She continuously avoided my gaze, which was kinda cute, but also unnerving at the same time. "I'm going to take a shower," I said as I ignored the annoyed girl and walked upstairs to my room. "Don't peep." "I'm not going to peep," Abby shouted in anger and threw the sofa pillow at my back. I chuckled and finished my shower before getting out of the bathroom wearing only a towel wrapped around my waist. "Hey Abby," I said as I walked toward her with my hair still wet. The sudden intrusion caused Abby to be flabbergasted. What do you think I came here for?" "I didn't come here for that." "Ah, too bad," I exclaimed sadly as I sat next to her without putting on my clothes yet. "Anyway, why are you being so sulky tonight?" "So you noticed that, huh? Can't you also notice that I'm sitting here quietly stewing while waiting for you to come out of the shower?" "Why shower so you can wash away any evidence?" Without looking me in the eye, Abby started to argue with me, which left me quite befuddled. She was projecting her past experience in our relationship, but I missed the clue at this moment. "Why are you mad at me?" I asked in confusion. She turned her face quickly, gazed me in the eye and said, "I know what you did at the party." "What? The fight?" I asked. "Not that," Abby replied. "The drinking?" I asked. "Not that." "Then, I'm stumped. I don't think I did anything to make you mad at me, except for that." "Think real hard," Abby said deliberately. So I put my finger underneath my chin and started thinking. What did I do? What exactly did I do? Oh, are you upset because I bought the cake and marked it as company expense? In my defense, I don't have a bank account yet, so I can't use my own money." "Not that," Abby said in a high-pitched voice while crossing her arms. "I know about the kiss." "What kiss?" I asked as I looked at her face. "I didn't kiss anyone." "The kiss with the waitress?" "I kissed a waitress?" "Don't play dumb with me, you incubus." "I want to say sorry, but I have no idea what you're talking about right now. Are you pranking me or being serious?" "I am being serious." "Then what waitress? Oh, you meant Penny?" I finally realized what she was talking about. "See, so you finally admit it?" Abby said menacingly. "It was an accidental peck on the lips. It's not like we want to kiss each other," I explained calmly. "Then, did you get her number after the kiss?" Abby said angrily. "Why? Was it so that you could meet her and kiss her again?" "No. I only wait. How do you know all of this?" I suddenly realized that there was no way for Abby to know about any of that as the kiss happened at the end of the party. "Did you send someone to spy on me as Enid the spy?" I widened my eyes in realization after playing all the possible scenarios in my head and eliminating the suspects one by one. "How no, we're going to talk about the kiss first." Abby returned to the original topic, but I was a bit too annoyed at this moment, and a little bit hurt too. "You didn't trust me being at that party, so you felt the need to spy on me? Why did you kiss her then?" Abby yelled in anger as she stood up. "I didn't kiss her," I yelled back and stood up with her. "Don't lie to me," Abby shouted with teary eyes. I rubbed my head in frustration and calmed myself down. Taking a deep breath, I replied, "Okay." She was kissing my cheek to thank me, and I stumbled so her lips accidentally brushed with mine. We didn't kiss willingly, nor were we interested in one another. "Then, delete her number," Abby demanded while giving me my phone back as I had left it on the coffee table. "Why would I delete her number?" "So you're interested in her then?" "Boy with mommy issues," Abby said in frustration. Still trying to keep my calm, I explained, "She is an aspiring actress who almost got tricked into an escort for a hire agency, so I promised to contact her if I ever needed an actress." "Don't do that," Abby said with a raised voice. "Do what?" I replied in frustration. "Speak calmly. It's as if I'm the one who's overreacting." I sighed and I tried to say calmly, You're not overreacting. I understand your feelings, but you need to learn how to trust me." "I hate that." Abby yelled again with tears in her eyes. Being so understanding and all that. I'm not a hysterical woman that you need to talk to like I'm a child. Frustrated, I said with a bit of a raised voice, so you want me to keep raising my voice and be mad at you? Yes. Abby replied honestly. Therefore I gave her what she wanted. So are we going to talk about how you spied on me? Who is Enid? Well, Enid is Tara's sister. Abby explained before she exploded once again. Are you really not going to delete her phone number? We argued for 15 minutes after that. I don't even remember what exactly we were arguing about. In the end, we were both tired, so we sat back on the sofa side by side. With her head resting on my right shoulder, she finally said, breaking the silence in the room, "It used to be simple, you know." Yeah. I replied in understanding. We hung out, we had fun together before. I didn't have to think about anything else except for that. Now that we are dating, I can't help but feel miserable every time I see you with another girl. Do you still feel miserable right now? I asked, although I was afraid of the answer. Yeah, but it's not that I hate you, I'm just scared. I don't even care about the waitress, but I care about you leaving me. Abby sobbed and tears finally fell from her eyes. I can't help but think you're going to cheat on me, even though I know you wouldn't. I know it's unfair to you, and I hate myself for feeling this way. She covered her eyes with her palm as her tears continued to fall. I wrapped my arms around her shoulder and pulled her closer to me to comfort her. So what do you want to do now? I asked even as my chest started to hurt. What are we supposed to do now? It was easier when we were just friends. Abby said with some hesitation. We're only going to be dating for 1 more month. I think it's a mistake for us to start a relationship that we both knew was going to end. Is that how you really feel? I asked. She turned to look at my face and lied, yes. In front of Abby's house. You didn't have to walk me back. Abby said as she stopped in front of the door and turned toward me. I didn't have to. But I wanted to. I replied with a soft smile. Just because we've broken up now, that doesn't mean that I will stop caring for you. Abby hugged me a long time before she separated. Her eyes were glassy and her chin was quivering. I wiped the lone tear that ran down her left eye with my finger and said with a sly smirk, who knows, maybe we can be friends with benefits after this. She rolled her eyes and the sad atmosphere was destroyed instantly. Go home and stop daydreaming. Abby said and showed her tongue at me as she opened the door. That wasn't a no. I yelled playfully from afar as she entered the house and slammed the door. As she disappeared from my sight, I no longer felt the need to fake my smile. My face turned expressionless and I walked slowly back to my house alone in the middle of the night. The cold wind blew once more, as I stopped and raised my head to look at the moonless sky. A drop of rain fell right on my left cheek, but I felt no urgency to reach home. Spring rain, huh? That's rare. I muttered as I continued walking at a slow pace. Although I had the breakup experience, it was never easy for me to do it again, especially with someone I cared so deeply about. She was traumatized because of her dad as someone that I will make sure to beat up if I ever had the misfortune to meet. Her choice to label what we had as a fake relationship was her way to circumvent the trauma, but she still couldn't bring herself to trust anyone, despite all of our affection for one another. However, like Abby, I too had my own worries in continuing the relationship. Every time someone brings up the topic that she would one day return to New York, or when I realized that I couldn't hold on to her forever, it kills me a little bit inside. Maybe this is for the best. I muttered before a few more droplets of rain fell on top of my head. But I guess I was lucky that I arrived home before the rain finally started to pour. So I guess I'm lucky? Even the sky is mocking me sarcastically right now. I muttered as I entered the door and went straight to my bedroom. I laid on top of the bed, just trying to repress anything that I might have felt that night. I even took the sleeping pills that Mrs. Henderson gave me to help me sleep, but I still kept staring at the ceiling till 3 a.m. struggling with my thoughts. Calm down. Don't open the dam. Everything will come out if you open it. Just continue to repress. 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 Repres. Anger, unfairness, longing, rage, despair, desperation, my thoughts kept changing, and I felt as if my heart had been ripped out from my chest. By this day, repressing things was my usual routine for every night since I became Edward Newgate. It wasn't fun to repress things, but that was how I coped. Breaking up with Abby tonight became a trigger for my emotions to bubble up once more. Fuck. I cursed in the middle of the night. I wasn't sure what time I fell asleep, but I was sure that I saw the sun coming up before I managed to do so. /N, some of you will think he's pathetic, but read back the previous few chapters cause I showed signs of him being a little depressed, insomnia, pushing himself to work, needing alcohol to sleep, and so on. Third person POV. Abby closed the door and rested her back against it. Her left hand was still holding the doorknob, shivering as she wanted to open the door and ran back toward him. What's going on, dear? Desiree walked into the living room as she heard the front door being opened and saw Abby shivering at the front door. Did something happen? She asked as she hurriedly got to her daughter. Suddenly, Abby hugged her and buried her face in her mom's chest, and without explaining anything, Abby broke down crying. She grabbed her mother's robe tightly till her hands felt numb as her sobs turned to wail. What's going on, Abby? Did someone hurt you? Desiree asked anxiously, as it was rare to see her daughter cry. Did Edward do something to you? Although Desiree felt that Edward was a nice kid, she still felt the need to ask just in case he had done something to hurt her daughter. After a while, Abby explained in a broken sentence mixed with her sobbings. No, we broke up. It took Desiree a long time to calm her daughter down and listen to the entire story. She respected her daughter's decision to end things, and she realized something from Abby's cry. As she took her daughter to bed and kissed her forehead when Abby fell asleep, Desiree muttered, "You don't even know that you love him. My stupid little girl." After the long night for both Abby and Edward, a new day finally arrived. Inside the Newgates' house, Ted was confused when he realized that his son wasn't waking up on time to go to school as usual. Finally, he decided to enter Edward's room to find out what was going on. Ted shook Edward's motionless body after he placed his palm on Edward's head to check for a fever. Hey, Ed, wake up, time for school, Ted said whisperingly. Edward groaned, but he wasn't waking up from the bed. Ted sighed and asked, Did Abby come by last night? She did, and we broke up, Edward replied groggily. Ted finally understood why his son wasn't waking up today. Okay. I'll call your school and let them know you won't be going today. I'll come by this afternoon and we'll do something fun, Ted said and brushed Edward's hair before he went to work. Edward groaned once more as an agreement before he continued sleeping. Palisades High School. Haley was texting Abby after finding out that she didn't come to school today. She still isn't answering? Tara asked Haley as she sat next to her in class. No. I'm worried, Haley muttered with a face full of concern. She was being weird last night after knowing Edward kissed another girl. Tara scratched her face and said, Yeah, about that. Haley finally turned to her friend and asked, What? They didn't kiss on purpose. It was an accident. Wait, seriously? Did you tell Abby that? I did. But she still hasn't responded to me, Tara said. I will ask my mom to talk to her mom, Haley said as she texted Claire, who was working from home at that time. Claire read the text message and called Desiree with the house phone. They talked for a while, and Desiree finally told Claire what really happened. They broke up. Claire was flabbergasted when she heard it. Yeah, Desiree replied from the other line. I'm taking her somewhere fun to get her mind off things today. I see, I'm going to go check up on Ed, Claire said hurriedly. Phil suddenly appeared out of nowhere standing behind Claire and asked, Check up on Ed for what? Claire raised her hand to stop Phil and continued to listen to Desiree. Check up for what? Phil asked again with a whisper. They broke up, Claire whispered back without putting down the phone. Who? Edward and Abby. Phil couldn't believe his ears. Oh my God, seriously? I'm going with you to see him. At the moment, there was no plot to set up Ed with his daughters, but he truly cared about Ed and wanted to go and check up on him. Claire finally ended the call and stopped Phil as he was running to the front door. Phil. Let me call Ted first. We don't know whether he is at home now, Claire said hurriedly. At this moment, she received another text from Haley asking about Abby's situation, so she texted her back without thinking much. In Palisades High School, while the class was commencing, they broke up. Haley suddenly stood up and shouted, almost giving her teacher a heart attack. Her face was full of disbelief and she started to text blast Abby while still standing. Miss Dunphy, what are you doing? The teacher shouted at her. Sit down. Eh? Haley realized that she was still in class and sat back down after apologizing to the teacher. Chapter 44, Time with Dad. Edward POV. I thought you were bringing me somewhere fun. This is somewhere fun. Looking around the dark green-colored lake, I turned to my dad who was already sitting on a small boat with a huge grin on his face. He wore a fishing cap with a few fish-shaped bait stuck on it, and a fisherman's jacket. Fishing? I asked flatly while dropping my shoulders. Yes. Ted replied with the same excited smile, not knowing my apprehension to the activity. Okay. I said in self-defeat and walked to the boat before I climbed on it. He brought us to the middle of the lake before helping me put the bait on and casting it into the ocean using a fishing rod. Hey, I sighed while holding the fishing rod as the weight from getting a fish to bite the bait was too dull. It's boring, huh? Ted smirked teasingly while looking at me before reeling his bait in slowly to attract the fishes. You promised me fun. This isn't fun at all, I said while looking far away into the horizon. His spirited eyes turned serious, and he said, a disturbed mind won't be able to understand the joy of fishing. His words intrigued me, so I turned toward him. What do you mean by that? I don't know. That was what your Gramps used to say. Ted smirked as I rolled my eyes. It's impossible for you to not understand it, I said snarkily. So, you're trying to lead me into an emotional enlightenment by myself? Bingo! Ted confessed. He looked toward the cloudless blue sky and said, you know, in life you will meet a lot of different people. Maybe, she will be the one for you. Maybe, the one is still waiting for you in the later part of your journey. Narrowing my eyes suspiciously at Ted, I asked, did you read a book titled How to Talk to Your Son After a Breakup? Ted widened his eyes and said, there's a book like that? I didn't find any when I searched for it this morning. His act as a wise old man was blown away by my preemptive questioning. Finally, I laughed for the first time today because of my old man. His eyes turned kinder as he saw me laughing. What else did your book say? Bring him somewhere peaceful so that he can process his feelings. Ted's confession made me laugh once again. He didn't mind making a fool of himself just to raise his son's spirits, and I really admire that about him. So, you want to talk about her? Ted asked as he casted his bait once more after not having any luck on the first cast. There isn't anything to talk about in the first place. We started this whole thing because she wanted to experience what a relationship was like before moving back to New York. Either way, the whole idea was doomed from the start. After my response, only the sound of the water could be heard. Ted took a deep breath and said, do you want to hear the story of how I met your mother? Oh God. I was afraid of this the moment I found out that your name is Ted. What? What? Ted looked at me weirdly and then he continued, I was sailing to Cuba at that time. Kids. See you in 10 years. I waved at the invisible camera screen as Dad started his story. What are you doing? Listen to me, Dad said seriously. After narrowing his eyes at me, I finally gave up and decided to listen to him. I was 20 years old at that time. After I ran away from inheriting Gramps' farm, I decided to travel the world by sailing. Cuba was my first destination. Everything was new to me. the culture, the food, the environment. As I was walking in the streets, suddenly, I bumped into a gorgeous woman named Robin. I interjected. No. Named Camellia. Dad corrected me. That's not Mom's name, I said in confusion. Yeah. She's not your mom. She is, your aunt. Dad finally shared something about my mom's family during my 14 years of living here. Wait, what? I contorted my face as I heard the story. And she had stolen my wallet the second she bumped into me. I paused for a bit as I processed the information. But the only thing that could come out of my mouth was, what? Third-person POV? Desiree had invited Haley and Tara to come along with her and her daughter and to spend the day at the amusement park to help raise her daughter's spirits. However, Abby didn't want to go out of her room, not even getting out of her bed as she was too depressed after the breakup. Let me talk to him. I was the one who asked Enid to spy on Edward. Not you, Haley said. Abby gazed at Haley slowly while eating an ice cream out of the tub using a silver spoon. It's okay, Haley. We were not going to work out anyway. Even without that. Why the hell not? Tara said in agitation. We're the one who forced you to listen. We were the ones who misunderstood the situation. Let us talk to him, and you guys can get back together again. Aren't you listening? We're not going to work out even without that. Abby said angrily as she stabbed the spoon into the vanilla ice cream and took a big scoop of the ice cream into her mouth. But why? Haley asked in exasperation. Why do you need to break up? Just date him until it's time to go back. Abby took a deep breath and said, I don't know. I feel that if we continue, then my heart won't be able to take it if we part ways. Tara widened her eyes and she said carefully, wait, are you in love with him? Haley's eyes darted between Tara and Abby, who was lowering her head at this moment. You do, don't you? Tara finally realized it from her friend's silent agreement. Then, why do you give up now? Why should you back away if you love him? Abby was tearing up again, and Haley automatically went to hug Abby from over the blanket. Haley said to Tara. Okay. Tara. Stop bringing it up. You're upsetting her. I will not. She is being stupid, she said in frustration. If you love him, fight for him. Why would you break up with him now? Abby was silent for a while before she decided to unload something off her chest. When I first hung out with him, he told me that his mother had left him, and every day he's in pain from thinking about the matter. I don't want to be the one to cause him the same pain. She broke down crying while Haley continuously comforted her. Tara rubbed her head in frustration and went to hug Abby too. Stupid. Both of you. Tara muttered as she comforted Abby. Haley's commentary. Sue, my crush on Edward is over before we even started. Haley confessed with an angry face. She pointed to the screen with her index finger and said, he dared to mess with my best friend? He's in for a whole lot of trouble. Unknowingly, Haley has considered Abby one of her best and true friends that understood her in the entire world. So far, only Tara could be considered her true friend, as Tara had never once put her down because of her intelligence, and would fight for her if someone dared to mess with her. Feisty, but kind. That is who Tara was for Haley. Now that she found a true friend in Abby, she had crushed every bit of affection she had for Edward to make sure she would never hurt her friend. And once someone messed with her friends, she would make sure to mess with them back. But Edward isn't a bad guy. Both of them are just so damn unlucky, Haley said in exasperation. If Abby could stay in LA, then I'm sure they will stay together for a long, long time. She exclaimed in frustration and muttered angrily. Screw it. She stood up from the sofa and declared, I will make sure that they will stay together. Whether they like it or not. Commentaries end. /N. Please remember they are teenagers. Teenagers. They act on impulse rather than rationality as they are still immature. In the Dunphys' house, Claire and Phil were talking with each other about the breakup. I still can't understand why I couldn't go with them, Phil said in exasperation after Claire stopped him from joining Edward and Theodore. They are having a father and son bonding moment. Why would a neighbor's dad join in? Claire replied dismissively as she continued cleaning the kitchen. Her laptop was still open on the kitchen counter as she was studying up on the business's management plan by playing Edward's audiobook and recorded lectures while doing the chores. You underestimated my bond with Edward. I'm like his second dad, Phil tried to convince his wife. Claire finally turned to him and said, rather than being a second dad, why don't you go be a primary dad to those two? She pointed at the bickering Luke and Alex. I don't understand why you can't just lie to him and say that I did my chores. It's not your bike, Luke said as he kept following Alex from behind to further pester her. Ugh. Even if I explained, it's not like you would understand it. Besides, I already told him you didn't put your dishes in the dishwasher today. So he will be adding one more day to your punishment. That's not fair. I did everything else. I took out the trash. No. Mom took out the trash. Don't lie to me, Alex said menacingly at Luke, causing him to whimper in sadness. See? He didn't do his chores again. At the very least he did clean up his bed today, Claire said to Phil. He's just a late bloomer. He'll finish it. Phil defended Luke instantly. But I guess Edward's method is working. He is slowly finding out that there isn't any other way to get his bike back besides being accountable for his mistakes. He even called my dad to go get the bike back from Edward. Luckily, he called me to ask about the whole situation. Jay won't hurt him, Phil said. Claire nodded in agreement. Yeah. My dad likes him a lot, so I'm not worried in the first place. He even likes him more than Y-. She stopped her words before she could finish it and left the bewildered Phil hurriedly. More than me? Phil raised his voice in exasperation. Ding dong asterisk. The doorbell of the front door was ringing at this moment. Alex hurriedly walked to the front door and opened it. We came as fast as we could, Cam said as he barged into the house the second it was opened. Well, hello to you too, Alex muttered alone as Cam walked past her as if she didn't exist. Mitchell followed Cam from behind as he carried the car seat with Lily still inside. Hello, Alex, Mitchell greeted. Cam finally realized Alex was standing behind him as he stopped in front of the stairs and stood in a dramatic pose. Oh. Alex. I didn't see you there, Cam said. How did you think the door was open then? Alex asked sarcastically, causing Cam to feel bad about his ignorance. Don't be mad at him, Alex. He's been binge-watching a soap opera for so long that he lives his life that way now, Mitchell said to comfort Alex. Anyway, we heard that Edward broke up with his girlfriend? Mitchell asked Alex. She widened her eyes and asked, he broke up with Abby? Why? You didn't know? Mitchell asked in confusion. Well, we come here to support him, and also listen to the story, Cam added with a little giggle at the end of his sentence. Ah, Mom's in the kitchen, Alex said in understanding. Thank you, Mitchell said before he walked to the kitchen with Cam while carrying Lily with him. But before Alex could close the door, she heard a sound from outside. Alex, hold the door, Gloria said hurriedly and managed to hold the door before Alex could shut it in her face. Oh, hi, Gloria, Alex greeted her casually. Hola, Alex. Did they start? Gloria asked with an excited smile. You mean gossiping? Mitch and Cam just came in. You need to hurry, Alex said. Gloria nodded and ran inside quickly while shouting, Don't start without me. Alex shook her head and then she saw Manny and Jay walking toward the house begrudgingly as they were dragged to come over by Gloria. Hey Alex, listen to this. I think that someone in this house is possessed by an owl, Manny suddenly said as he smiled in excitement. Alex rolled her eyes and said, Edward already did the trick on me. Pick someone else. Manny lost his smile and said, "Ah. Too bad," before he walked into the house. Jay, who was standing behind him, muttered, "Damn owls," as he followed behind Manny. They were convening in the kitchen and the hot topic for today was Edward's breakup. So, they broke up because they needed to separate from each other when summer came? That's sad. Mitchell said with a stoic face. With a face full of tears, Cam said while sobbing, "That is sad. Poor Ed." Why break up now? Gloria objected as if Edward was there. Go break up later, when she's gone, when she need to move back. Well, Mitchell scratched his head as he knew the true reason, but was contemplating whether to tell the group or not. Haley had already shared the secrets with Mitchell like she always did with everything else, therefore Mitchell was the only one there who knew the complete story. Cam caught his expression instantly. You know, don't you? PFF. No. I don't. Mitchell replied dismissively while avoiding eye contact with Cam. However, now Cam was sure that he knew something. With glittering eyes, Cam stared at Mitchell an inch away from his face and said, "Spill." What no? Oh. So you do know something? No, I don't. Leave me alone. Mitchell hurriedly ran away from Cam. Edward POV. Wait. So you chased Auntie Camila to a bar, and then you found my mother who was clearly the boss of the pickpockets, and got beaten up by her. And then, after all that, you fall in love? Are you AM? I was honestly baffled when Dad recounted his experience when he first met Mom. No. Not then. Ted replied with a smirk. There is still a long story to follow. Just skip to the important part. I muttered anxiously as Dad's storytelling skill was quite lacking compared to the original How I Met Your Mother narrator. We fought a few times in a span of a month. I kept tracking her as she was still holding my wallet at that time. Finally, I cornered her alone in an empty alley. Then, you got beaten up? I asked playfully, but Ted nodded. Yes. Your 18-year-old mom was very feisty at that time. So how did you land her then? I asked in confusion. I didn't. Dad replied. She did. Flashback. While stepping on Ted with a red stiletto on her right leg, the brown and short-haired Cuban woman with caramel skin and green eyes paired with a voluptuous sexy body looked coldly at the American man. Her hair was covering half of her eyes, and she was wearing leggings underneath her one-piece floral dress. She said with a thick Cuban accent, "You tracked me for a month, just to get your wallet back?" Putting more pressure on her legs, she said to the man in a sailor uniform, "I don't believe you." "It's true," Ted said with difficulty breathing. Then, she took out his wallet from her deep cleavage and waved it at him. "There isn't any more money left inside this. What do you want it for? If there is no money left inside, can you please give it back to me?" Ted asked in desperation. "Why? Tell me." She pressed her legs harder this time. "Arg, check the third CA/RD slot." The Cuban woman opened it up like he said, and there she found a letter. She opened the letter that had never been opened before and started reading it, but it only confused her more rather than making anything clear to her. "Are you playing with me? Why is a letter, and a piece of grass from a woman so important to you?" Ted smiled as he saw the letter and said, "Well, it's a letter from my mom, and that piece of grass is a 4-leaf clover. She asked me to keep it close to me, as her wish was stored inside of it." The woman finally stopped putting the pressure on Ted's chest and removed her legs. She read the letter clearly at that time, and her expression turned conflicted. Ted stood up and brushed off the dust on his chest, but a clear footprint could be seen on his torso. "Can you please give it to me now?" Ted asked politely. The woman looked at Ted closely for the first time, and saw that the man's face suddenly turned attractive for her. "Is this grass a magic spell? Why is my heart beating so fast?" The woman thought as she was lost in the view. "Hey, please, give me back my letter," Ted begged. "I have not read it yet." "You." The woman widened her eyes. "Okay. You'll get your letter back, she said and put the letter back into her cleavage. Wait. Ted tried to stop her from doing so, but it was too late as he was a true gentleman and couldn't bring himself to put his hand on the woman's chest without their consent. Humph. Good choice. The woman snorted as he stopped himself, but then she smiled for the first time, which made Ted's heart skip a beat. Why are you doing this? Ted asked in exasperation after recollecting himself. She didn't answer and turned her back toward Ted. You'll get your letter after you take me out on a date. Completely baffled by the development, Ted half opened his mouth, paused for a few seconds before he said, What did you just say? Meet me at El Floridita at 8 o'clock tonight, the woman said before she walked away. Wait. What's your name? Ted asked hurriedly. She turned her head and answered with a seductive smile, My name is Miranda. Flashback ends. What was in the letter? I asked. Ted smirked and said, Apparently, Granny believed that a four-leaf clover could carry a wish at that time. Her wish, which she had written inside the letter, was that it would lead me to someone that I would fall in love with, and I did. But you didn't get married until right before I was born, I said. How did you keep in touch? I know that you didn't stay in Cuba all the time, and Mom didn't follow you to travel around the world. So how? Ted replied, We meet only once every 3 to 4 months. And we made it work because we love each other. Then, she abandoned you for another woman, I said sarcastically, causing Dad to clear his throat a few times in embarrassment. While avoiding my eyes, he said, Anyway, it doesn't matter if it's a long distance. That shouldn't be a problem if you both love each other. So don't let it be a factor in your decision to break up with Abby. I paused as I fell into a deep thinking state from my dad's words. Then, I said to him, If we are in fact in love with each other, but we're just two dumb teenagers who don't even know what love is. Also, Dad, something has been pulling at your string for a while now. Aren't you going to reel it in? Dad looked at the direction I was pointing and saw that his idle fishing rod was shaking tremendously. It's a big one, Dad said and grabbed the fishing rod hurriedly before reeling the line in. However, it couldn't hold and the fish managed to break free 2 meters from the boat. Although we struck out today, it was enjoyable spending the afternoon with my dad. Still can't believe you got beat up by Mom, I said as we entered the car. I wasn't training yet then, nor had I already entered the army. I was just a simple farm boy, and your mom had military training from your grandpa. He was a bit dejected by that topic, therefore I stopped bringing it up. Little did I know that instead of basking himself with sadness, my dad was actually feeling nostalgic about his history with my mom. Dad, tonight I will stay with Taylor tonight and practice with the band, I said after checking my text messages. There was no service at the lake, therefore I had been off the grid for a few hours. I see. Should I pick you up tomorrow morning? He asked in concern. No need. Pepper is going to supervise the whole thing 'cause he says he doesn't trust Taylor. I don't even know what that's about. Anyway, he's going to drive me home. Maybe it was because I didn't want to stay at home tonight, but I readily agreed to Taylor's invitation to join her rehearsal for the concert. When we got home, I quickly took a bath to remove the lake smell as Pepper was going to come pick me up in 10 minutes. The newly made entertainment company CEO drove off quickly after picking me up before the group of busybodies could even come to my house. Third-person POV? Is he gone? Claire asked hurriedly after almost running to the Newgate's house. Yeah. He's already gone, Ted replied to Claire and the rest of the group following her. Damn it. I told you I should have joined them, Claire, Phil said in frustration. Should we call him back? I want to give him a hug, Cam said in a sad tone. Mitchell rolled his eyes and said, Sure. Let's call Pepper and ask him to turn back. You really want to make trouble with him, huh? It's not enough with the things you guys are fighting about now? In a thick accent, Gloria said, I can intercept them. Give me the car, keys. What, Gloria? No. Claire stopped her quickly before she tried to grab the keys from Ted's hand. I got Gloria," Phil said and hugged Gloria's stomach as he pulled her back from Ted, although it wasn't necessary. Edward POV. Finally arriving at Taylor's studio, the first thing I did was announce something to the group of girls practicing in the studio. "I broke up with my girlfriend last night." "Oh, poor baby." Taylor hurriedly walked toward me and gave me a big hug while burying my face in the pitiful bump she calls a chest. Not only Dad, I got a hug from the female songwriters, sweaty female dancers, and the female staff members there, all hugging me the same way that Taylor did before. Life is good again. I muttered inwardly as a beautiful dancer's older sister was pulling me close to her C-cup chest while being sweaty from the practice. Chapter 45, Countdown Before the Concert. Edward POV. Taylor's studio was a top-of-the-line, four-story high, huge entertainment complex full with a recording studio along with dormitories, pantry, showers, sound room and many other extra commodities. The training hall had walls full of mirrors, the acoustics within the recording room were the highest quality, and there were even a whole lot of instruments collected by the teenage pop star. The dancers were friendly, and the musicians picked by Pepper weren't egoistic bastards, therefore I could get along with them pretty easily. Without me even realizing it, 2 whole days had passed. Luckily Friday was Arbor Day, tree planting day. Americans didn't celebrate Labor Day on the 1st of May, therefore I didn't have to skip school today as it was a long holiday. It was now Saturday and it had been 2 days since I started living here. The concert was tomorrow and I could feel the tension inside the studio had drastically increased. On Friday night, I chose to sleep in one of the empty male dancers' dorm rooms instead of the hotel Pepper booked for me. I had slept there Thursday night but I didn't like it very much. I was also staying at the dorm as I felt it was easier to commute back and forth during practice over there. However, I didn't realize that a few dancers were using the empty male dorm room as they felt it was too stuffy inside the packed dorm housing 20 female dancers at the same time. Alex, Grandpa flew a model airplane into Dad's face today and broke his nose. Edward, too bad I was not there to see that. Alex, why? So you can mock him? LOL. Emoticon. So I missed the 3rd episode, huh? I thought sadly. While I was laying in bed texting Alex, the door suddenly opened and 2 dancers came in their almost see-through underwear as they walked right into the room. They were surprised when they saw me there, yet they decided it was too much of a hassle to walk back to the female dorm, which was only 20 meters away, and just slept on the bed beside mine after talking to me about it. I didn't mind much as there were 20 beds inside the room, but I was a bit concerned that even with all those free beds they still wanted to sleep beside me. They didn't even use the blankets as they slept, therefore it was a challenge for me to fall asleep that night because of how my body was reacting to them. They kept moving around with their hands all over each other, giggling and moving restlessly as they slept on the same single bed together. Hey, I called out hoping to get them to stop, but the only thing I heard in response was loud snoring sounds coming from their bed. Turned out, both of them were already asleep. Ah damn. I muttered and walked to the edge of the dorm to sleep far away from those 2 girls. They were gone when I woke up the next morning as they were following a strict training routine. However, I met the 2 of them again when I was finally done with my band rehearsal. Edward. That was really awesome. Kaya, a 170 centimeters Latina dancer with a fiery personality and short bob-cut hairstyle, complimented me as she had witnessed my rehearsal earlier on with the rest of the band members. She walked toward me while swaying her hips as she wiped her wet hair with a clean, white towel. Crouching right in front of me while I was sitting on the floor to test out the expensive guitars alone in Taylor's studio, she said with a mischievous smile, "I saw something nice after waking up this morning." Apparently someone decided to pitch a high tent inside the dorm room. She was incredibly sweaty from the intense practice before this, and her efforts could be seen from the sweat dripping down her abs on her bare stomach. The dancers were only wearing a sports bra and yoga pants as they rehearsed their choreography, Kaya not excluded. That's normal for a growing boy, I replied casually despite her teasing. Kaya smiled blushingly and kept staring at me. Suddenly, I could see clear wet marks on the crotch area of the pink yoga pants as she spread her knees slowly while squatting. I accidentally gazed at it and she caught my action with a sly smile. Little perv, Kaya muttered mischievously using a sultry voice. I couldn't help but have a stain down there, She inched closer to me and whispered to my left ear at the same time her vanilla perfume tickled my nose. Because I am not wearing any underwear underneath. After blowing gently into my ears, Kaya retreated back to her initial position while expecting an embarrassed teenage boy tripping over himself because of her seduction. However, her smile froze as she saw I had no noticeable change in my expression after her attack. Why don't you? Won't the friction burn you up over there? I asked with an innocent face. Kaya, what are you doing? A long, red-haired, 175 centimeters tall white girl with a few freckles on her face stopped her friend from continuing her seduction immediately after she finished her practice. Kaya turned to the girl and said, Anna. Nothing, I'm just talking to Ed. Both 17-year-old girls with hourglass body shape were good friends with each other, therefore Anna couldn't be deceived by Kaya's lousy lie. She grabbed her friend's ear and pulled it, making Kaya have to stand up if she wanted to keep her ear. Ouch. Why? You said you were going to release the training stress with him too. Anna quickly shut Kaya's mouth with her palm while looking anxiously at me. What are you guys doing? I asked with a tired voice. I wasn't dense, therefore I knew what they wanted from me, but right now I was feeling too depressed to care about it. No, Edward. It's nothing. You can continue doing your work. Anna said in embarrassment and with a bright red face before he pulled Kaya out of the small music instrument room. Weirdos. I muttered as I continued testing the next $10,000 price guitar. She really has some good stuff. I said as I played careless whispers with the guitar, not knowing that a few of the dancers were resting nearby the instrument storage door in order to listen to me play. Edward, there you are. Pepper suddenly approached me after I got out of Taylor's instrument storage room. He had been searching for me all over, and was the reason Anna had pulled Kaya away is to not let their actions be exposed. What's the matter, Peps? I asked as I saw Harvey following Pepper from behind. They led me into a small meeting room where Harvey started to explain the situation. It's about the melody you created with Taylor before this. Harvey said and gave me a piece of paper. Honestly, you are entitled to some claims of her song as you had helped her in creating the melody. I really wish you guys would have told me about this situation sooner. If she decides to not recognize your participation in the creative process, we're looking at a hard lawsuit to get the claim. Wait. I muttered hurriedly as I didn't understand anything about what was going on. Can you explain it to me from the top? Suddenly, the door of the meeting room was opened, and Taylor walked into the meeting room with her own firm representative. Unlike me, Taylor was tied to a record label and several entertainment companies, therefore she didn't have much freedom in her decision-making. I'm not that petty. He did help me in creating the melody, therefore I won't be stingy. Taylor said sarcastically while rolling her eyes at Harvey as she sat next to Pepper, and directly in front of me. She tied up her curly hair into a small, loose bun at the back of her head, and wore a crop tank top with no bra and a high-waisted denim short. As the meeting table was small, her legs were brushing against mine underneath it. Don't worry, Ed. I'm not an asshole. Taylor said as she immediately ran her bare foot up my thigh while maintaining eye contact with me. 2 days of training together had brought us really close together, and we were on very good terms, even what anyone would call friendly terms right now. Royalties and credit. I muttered as I finally understood why the meeting was currently taking place after Harvey and Pepper explained everything to me. I forgot about that. That's okay. That is what I'm here for. Harvey said with a confident smile. Ed. This is, after all, your decision. What do you want to do? Pepper asked. I held my chin as I pondered the situation and how I could take advantage of it. Ed. Just take the royalties. I won't hate you for it. Taylor said honestly while still stroking my leg with her foot while pretending she wasn't doing anything. She knew about her entertainment company's plans of wanting to poach me into their entertainment company, therefore she was pretending to have a lot of freedom in the decision-making process to illuminate the company in a good light. No. Instead, I want something else. I said after thinking for a while. That was, after we decided that I would be getting a salary on my work with Taylor's song and my name would be mentioned as credit for the artists participating in the song creation. Biting her lower lips, Taylor looked at me in anticipation. What do you decide? How about, instead of giving me royalties, you just agreed to feature in one of my songs? Wait, what? Taylor was flabbergasted when she heard the counteroffer. A feature? In the near future, Taylor had to sue for the rights to some of her earlier albums where she finally won and released the Taylor's version of the said albums. I already knew her company right now was like a blood-sucking bat, therefore I wanted to avoid having any entanglement for them. More like a duet. I explained with a smirk and returned her playful gesture with my foot. She blushed a little when she saw it and turned her face toward her lawyer. Can we do that? She asked hesitatingly. It's up to you. It's your decision. The lawyer replied while texting his actual clients, aka the record label and other entertainment companies that truly own Taylor's music. Getting the okay from them, then the lawyer hinted at Taylor to play along with the farce. Too bad I could see everything they were planning. I was lucky in this matter as I had Pepper on my side who made sure I would always hold full right for any of my solo songs, and the team from Pearson Softman would make damn sure I would still hold the right to the mentioned duet. Taylor thought for a while before she replied, I'm going to listen to the song first before I make my decision. Is that okay? Sure. We can do that. I replied casually. Then, Taylor and I relocated to the sound room where I played the duet for 2 is better than 1 for Taylor. Nodding her head excitedly, Taylor said, I'll do it. Even the lawyer of the firm was smiling widely as he heard my song, and he was sure that the client would love that. In this entertainment firm, I would have never played a new song I just created because there was no telling whether they would claim the copyright to the song just because I was using their instruments or their facilities. Therefore, I had already given Harvey the melody to the song 2 days earlier, as I had planned to feature Taylor in my album for a while to boost my prestige upwards. When did you create this song? This is totally my style. Taylor said excitedly and kissed my left cheek as she hugged me from the neck. 2 days ago when I saw you again. I replied casually, however my words made Taylor's face blushing sincerely for the first time ever. Harvey was a bit disappointed as we didn't have to go to court for the matter, as we only settled the royalties and credit issue with a contract. We returned to the meeting room after Taylor agreed to collaborate with me. Harvey managed to catch several ambiguous and potentially damaging wording in the contacts the firm drew up and was in a deep discussion with the firm lawyer for the collaboration agreement. Therefore Pepper asked me to go out with Taylor as he didn't want me to lose my innocence listening to the dark side of the industry. Taylor and I were sitting alone in the sound room as she wanted to hear more about the duet song, away from all the trouble in the meeting room. Are you okay? I asked her as I noticed she kept holding the fake smile on her face even though her eyes were full of pain. Sometimes, I'm jealous of your relationship with Pepper, Taylor said in a dejected tone before she changed the topic. Anyway, want to perform Love Story on the stage together tomorrow? What do you have in mind? I asked. Several hours later, the meeting finally ended. I could have gotten her to give up everything she ever loved. Harvey murmured to herself as she finalized the contracts with the firm lawyer. Maybe some other time. I comforted the devilish lawyer before she left the studio. Never once did Taylor's lawyer scheme manage to go undetected by Harvey, which raised my impression on the woman. Okay. Let's go home now, Pepper said. But before we could walk away, Taylor walked out of the meeting room and stopped us. Hey. You're coming to the after party, right? Taylor asked. Sure. I replied after thinking about it. It'll be on your dad's boat anyway, Taylor said and giggled hard. I was confused, so I took out my phone and checked the company's booking schedule. Mona Carlson? Is this yours? I asked as I checked. She nodded with a smile and said, I actually bought the spot from her. For a premium price, of course. Not only that, she also bought the spot for 3 more people to make it a round day trip. The profit from Taylor's premium payment was enough for my dad to support me through an ordinary college. Even Claire would have a 5-digit salary this month because of Taylor, as her job's salary was based on the profit of the company. International water cruise. Nice. It will take a day to get back though, and I have school on Monday. I muttered in contemplation. Just take one day off. The teacher won't mind. Taylor grabbed my arm and tried to persuade me. She then whispered to me, in international waters, the laws won't be as restricting as in this country. Get your hand off him, Vixen. Pepper said hurriedly and removed Taylor, who was latching onto my body. Luckily, he didn't hear what she whispered to me. After thinking hard about the matter, I decided to agree on the invitation. Okay, I will go. If it's my dad, I would be apprehensive to party in front of him. But Dwayne is the captain for that day. Oh, Dwayne. Pepper muttered in a lusty voice as he remembered the buff ship captain. I didn't want to say anything to Pepper, therefore I turned to Taylor. By the way, you have a very good guitar collection. I'm a bit jealous. Taylor flashed a proud smile and said, thanks. Your birthday is this Tuesday, right? Any plans for it? Nah. I need to catch up on my work that day, so I won't be celebrating. I answered. Too bad. That means you won't need a present too, right? Taylor asked mischievously. While chuckling, I said, of course presents will be necessary. Don't cheap out on it either. I had never cheap out on anything. Taylor laughed. We split ways and I was driven home by Pepper. I wouldn't be able to see Taylor again till the concert, as she has an awards ceremony to attend to on Sunday morning. Next ceremony, I'll be looking forward to wearing a dress of your design, she said before we parted ways. As I reached home, Pepper gave me some unexpected advice. Don't just start chasing after girls right now. Let yourself heal first, he said from the driver's seat as I closed the passenger seat door of the Mercedes convertible while slinging my guitar case on my back. What? I asked in confusion. Turning his face toward me, he said, it's normal to want to chase after girls when you break up with someone. But that will only hurt you more. Believe me, I know. It's called a rebound, and I noticed that you're coming unhinged. You know the feeling of chasing after girls? I asked teasingly. See, deflect, deflect, deflect. You can repress your feelings if you want, but I will make sure to include going to therapy in your contract if you do. Do you really want me to do that? You know I will do it. I was stunned by Pepper's words and my face turned serious. No need. I can handle it on my own. It wasn't my first breakup. You dated before? Pepper was surprised when he heard that. He put on his sunglasses and said, okay, never mind that. Also, a small piece of advice, be careful when you guys decide to play footsie with each other under a small table. Remember that other people there can sense your movement too. Then, he drove off quickly. I was stunned at the sidewalk for a few seconds before I cursed slowly, fuck. It was 9 p.m. on Saturday while I was resting in the living room when I suddenly heard someone knocking on my front door. Wearing a simple t-shirt and short cargo pants, I opened the door carefully just to see an angry little girl gazing menacingly at me. What's up, Haley? I greeted casually as I saw her. Barging into my house, Haley used her index finger to push my chest backward while saying, you little shit. What did I do now? I asked. You disappeared for 2 days, and you dared to ask me, mockingly, what did I do? I went to practice for the concert. It's not like I disappeared completely. I returned your texts, didn't I? She had been calling me, confessing everything that she and Tara had done and how Abby had no part in the spying. She kept telling me to go beg Abby to take me back, and continue our relationship. But after both Abby and I talked to her, and I told Claire about her harassment, she had stopped trying to bring the topic up. Now, what are you going to do with Abby? Are you guys really not getting back together? Haley asked in concern. Right now, I'm doing the best I can to keep us as friends. If I push further, what do you think will happen? I said in a tired voice. She paused for a while, and then had a look of determination on her face. I didn't like where the conversation was going, therefore I changed the subject. By the way, did your mom pick up the tickets yet? I asked. Suddenly forgetting what she came there for, Haley searched her memory and said, I don't know. I gave her the VVIP tickets and passes. You can even get backstage with that. Are you coming tomorrow? Haley brightened up and said, Really? I can go backstage? Yeah. I gave the same ticket to Abby too, but I'm not sure whether she will go. Did she say anything to you? I cleverly guided Haley to the direction I wanted the talk to go toward. Haley thought for a while, and then she said, Let me go check. Okay. I'll be waiting. I said and shut the door behind Haley as she ran back toward her house. Third-person POV? Wait, I came there to yell at him. Haley widened her eyes in realization as she was already 10 meters away from Edward's house. Why am I leaving now? She blinked her eyes twice as she didn't know what just happened. Haley walked to her house while trying hard to understand the situation. Mom! Did you get the concert tickets? She asked the second she entered the house. From the kitchen, Claire replied, Oh. Yes. I got them. No, I got them. Phil interjected and ran toward the living room from the kitchen with a logo t-shirt. The logo was a giant door that was halfway open and written with the word, New, and, Gate. A ray of light was coming in through the door and landed on a small figure of a man standing on a stage. Oh. Grandpa already had sent the shirts? Haley asked as she saw the t-shirt her dad was wearing. One of Jay's hobbies was to design novelty t-shirts, and he came up with a t-shirt for the concert tomorrow as Edward had invited his entire extended family to come. Yup. It's great, right? Phil asked in excitement as he showed the front and back of the shirt. Claire walked out of the kitchen hurriedly while wearing the same clothes and said admonishingly, Phil. Don't play with the tickets. It's not like we can contact him if we lose them tomorrow. She snatched the tickets from Phil's hand for safekeeping immediately. I'm not going to lose them. Phil argued. Then, Haley walked to Abby's house where she had still not gotten out of bed or done anything. But she was a bit better today as she actually took a bath and changed her clothes. Hey! Abby, you're still coming to the concert tomorrow, right? Haley asked carefully. Ugh! Abby cupped her face in frustration and let out a long groan. I don't want to, can I not go? Abby turned to Haley and asked. I mean, if you don't want to. Haley hesitated. No. That's not the answer. If I don't want to go, then you should drag me there. Abby said sternly. Why? Haley asked. Because, I promised him to be there. Abby replied with conflicted eyes. Therefore, I should be there for Ed. Haley smiled softly and said, you're a good friend. Shut up. Abby retorted in embarrassment. Haley shook her head and said, We'll be going in the afternoon tomorrow. Why don't Tara and I ride with you and your mom? Wait. Tara is coming? Abby asked in confusion. Yeah. We know the artist. I just needed to ask for an extra ticket, and he gave it to me. Haley said proudly. Abby cracked a slight smile before she got depressed again. I don't think I can keep my sanity intact tomorrow. Haley said with a smirk, Don't worry, I'll be there to pick up the pieces. Yeah, and then mess up when you put them back together. Abby cracked a joke for the first time in 3 days, causing Haley to widen her eyes. Then, she realized that she was insulted and made an offended gasp after 20 seconds had passed. Edward POV. Thank God she will still come. I muttered as I read the confirmation from Haley. Finally, I decided to rest properly that night as I would be standing in front of 5,000 people tomorrow. I can't help but feel nervous about it. I muttered as I collapsed into the bed and closed my eyes. Then, I smirked and muttered, It'll certainly be fun though. That wraps up this part of What If Karmic Gacha System in Modern Family World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.